So if y'all remember on Friday, the notes we finished is where they gave us a factor and we set it equal to 0 and then we found the other factors, right, for the polynomial. Today they're not going to give us anything, no factors, so we have to find them all. Okay, so this involves trial and error. I know it's not the funnest thing to do. We're going to do it by trial and error first, and then I'll show you how to use your graphing calculator to help you out. Okay. So the first thing we have to do is find out, okay, what are the possible zeros that it could have? What are the possible x-intercepts? And that's going to come from your factors of your first coefficient, and we'll let that be p, and your factors of this one, we'll let this be q. So the coefficient here, what is p right here? And what is the coefficient here? Good. We are going to list all the factors of q over p. All the factors of q over p. All the factors of p. But in this case, what are the factors of 1? Just 1, right? So this one's pretty easy. What are the factors of 24? Start with the smallest. 1. Good. So our possible zeros, this is how I need you to write them. We have to include plus or minus because some of them might be roots involved. So here's what you'll do. You write plus or minus and now divide, which of course this one's going to be easy because it's all over 1. So it's just going to be these numbers, correct? So we got plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, plus or minus 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, and 24. Possible zeros. And one other thing, you have to have the plus or minus, again, because there might be roots involved. So this is really positive negative 1, positive negative 2, positive negative 3, and so on. But instead of writing plus or minus in front of all of them, you can just write plus or minus out front, unless you want to write them on all of them. Another thing, don't write them twice. Okay? On number 2, here is P, here is Q. What are the factors of our 6 right here? Start with the smallest. Go ahead. Good. Here's our Q, negative 18. What are the factors of negative 18? Start with the smallest.
Negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, 6,
2 more. 9 and 18. Good. And we'll worry about the plus or minus at the bottom. So again, we're going to list them as Q over P. So here's all the factors of Q. And we can write it as 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, 18. Here's all the factors of P. But I'm just going to write them one at a time and you'll see why. We'll start with 1. So we're going to divide all of these factors by 1. After that, we'll divide them all by 2, all by 3, all by 6. But we're not going to repeat any. Okay? So the first one is just going to be those factors because everything here divided by 1 will just be itself. 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, 18. So that was all divided by 1. We can cross that one out. Now we're going to divide them all by 2. But not repeat any. So the first one's going to be what? 1/2. The next one's going to be 2 over 2. And what is 2 over 2?
1.
So we've already written that one. We don't have to write that one again. Does everybody see that? The next one? 3 over 2. The next one would be what? 3. We don't have to write that one. What about the next one? 9 over 2. The next one do we have to write? Because it's already here with 9. 18 divided by 2 is 9. We've done 2. Next is 3. So tell me what the first one's going to be. Next. Next. Good. We don't have to write that one though. Next one would be 2. Next one would be 3. Next one would be what? 6. All of those are already there. Last one is 6. Alright, go ahead. Alright, the next one would be 2 over 6, which simplifies to what?
1/3.
We already have that one. Next one would simplify to?
1/2.
We already have that one. Next one?
1.
Next one? 3/2. Good. Next one? So we already have them all right there. Now, what's the point of this? For us to find the zeros, if they don't give us anything, that's why we have to list these. Okay? So we have to, right now, we have to take some of these and plug them in to this function, this polynomial, to see what gives us what when we plug it in. We're trying to plug these in. How do I know if one of these is a 0? When I plug it in, it'll give me what? 0. Okay? So that's what we'd have to do. We'd have to start at 1, plug it in for x, see which one gives us 0. 1 doesn't work, we'd move on to -1, then -2, then +2, then -3, then -3, and so on. I'll only make y'all do that for like one of them, and then we'll use your calculator. But on your test, one of the problems will say list all the possible zeros. That's how you do it. And that's all. Alright, flip it over. Now, if it says find all the zeros, this is where you actually have to find the x-intercepts. Okay? For number 1, how many zeros will we have?
3.
Good, because that's the degree. We have to start by listing the possible zeros to even know where to start plugging it in, okay? So what are the factors of this number?
1.
Just 1. What's the factors of 15? Start with the smallest.
1, 3, 9.
Good. And all we have to do is list all of these over 1. Won't that be the same thing? So possible zeros are plus or minus 1, plus or minus 3, plus or minus 5, plus or minus 15. Now, what I want you to do from here is just think about in your head, plug in some of these in, what it would give you. Like, think about, okay, if I plugged 1 in for x, what would that give me? If I plug -1. Think about that to yourself for just a second. You can use your calculator if you need to. And then tell me one of the zeros when you find it. So let's try 1. 0 can't be 1 because it's not a possible 0. Alright, so if I plug in 1, 1 cubed,
1.
plus 1, 2. 2 minus 17, plus 15. Okay, so 1 does work. We found 1. Right, x equals 1. That's one of the zeros. We have how many more to find?
2.
Okay, but once you find one of them, it's easy from here. You don't have to keep plugging in numbers. Here's what you can do. Use synthetic substitution. What are my coefficients here?
1.
Good.
-17.
And 15, very good. What goes here? And here? And here? And here? And here? Last one? Good, so our remainder is 0. Now write this as a polynomial. Talking about my answer. So that'll be what? Plus, minus.
15.
Good. Can I factor this? Into what?
Yeah, -3 positive 5.
Good. So what are my other two zeros?
-35.
Good. So that's all 3 of my zeros, so I'm done. Alright, so here's a shortcut. If you have your graphing calculator, I want you to go ahead and type this into y equals. So hit y equals, type this function in. How do you write x? Oh, it's the x button and then raise it to the third power. So use this button. There we go. Okay, so So once you've typed it in, you'll hit graph. There's two ways to find zeros, if you remember. Does everybody's look like this first of all? Okay, so you can either hit second table and go through and find out where y is what? 0. Which if you can see is at 3 right here. That was one of ours. 1 and -5. So you could try that. Oops. But do you always think that the answers are going to be whole numbers? No, you can look back here. Remember how there were some fractions, possible answers for fractions? So do y'all remember how to do the second trace 0 thing? Okay, so that's another way you can find it. One other thing, do you think that all of your x-intercepts will show up on your graph every time? Why? That's correct. I asked, do you think your x-intercepts, like your zeros, will show up on here every time? She said no, that's correct, but why? What other solutions could there be? Imaginary. And sometimes they won't always be on there. That's why you have to use this. Does everyone understand? Alright, let's move on to number 3. Alright, my first number, my first coefficient is 1. And what are the factors of 1? 1, good. Our constant term is what?
0.
Yes. So what are the factors of 0? Just 0. So what is 0 divided by 1? Good. So we know that x equals 0 is one of our zeros, because it's the only possible one. But also because if you look here, notice that if you plug in 0 for x, wouldn't it give you 0? Because all of them would cancel. Alright, what are my coefficients that go up here? Good. Why do we have to put a 0? We skip x to the 4th. Go ahead. And 0. So I understand where we got the zeros from. Alright. What goes here?
1.
Here?
Here.
Here?
Here.
Here?
Here. 0.
Good. Alright, so tell me how to write this as a polynomial.
X to the 4th.
Good.
Minus 8x squared.
Perfect. Minus
9.
9. Good. Alright, can't we factor this? Yes. What can we factor this into? X squared and good, because we need it to make x to the 4th. And what numbers go here? Very good. Everybody see where you got those numbers from? They multiply to get -9, add to get -8. Now we just have to set these equal to what? Good. So we got x squared equals, what would I get if I move this over? 9. So x equals what here? 3, or yes, plus or minus 3. And here would be x squared equals negative what?
1.
So x equals plus or minus,
I square root of 1.
what's the square root of 1?
1.
Nope, just I. Square root of 1's -1 is I. Or 1i, but you don't have to put the 1. Alright, how many answers did we find?
3.
4.
4.
5.
5. Good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And our degree is 5, so we're done. So really, if you graphed this, the only ones you would see on your graph are these 3. You wouldn't see these. Any questions on that one? Alright. Let's move to number 5. What are my factors of this first number right here? Start with the smallest ones. Go ahead. And factors of 3. Good. So we're going to list all of these over all of these. Let's start with 1. What's 1 over 1? Just 1, right? And then we'll have 3 over 1, which is just 3. Now we're going to put a what under both of these? A 2. So we'll have plus or minus 1/2, plus or minus 3/2. Good. Now we're going to put a what under everything? A 4. So we'll have plus or minus and plus or minus. Good. Last one, we're putting it all over 8, so we'll have plus or minus what? And plus or minus 3/8. Alright, if you have a graphing calculator, you can graph this, see which one of these, where it crosses the x-axis. Okay? If you do not, you're plugging numbers in to x to see which one gives you 0. Start with 1.
What do we call it?
The function. Yes. If you're having trouble with your graphs, let me know. Alright, if you have your graph, this is what it should look like. Does everybody's look like that? Alright, where is this crossing the x-axis? Between what two numbers? -1 and 0, right? So what do I press? Second trace, then go to what? And then I would type in what number first? And then enter, right? Then 0, then enter, then enter. So one of your zeros is what? -1/2. That's one of them. Was everybody able to get that on their graph? People without a graphing calculator that are just sitting there not trying this problem, I just want to make you aware that you're going to have to plug in these numbers on your own on the test to find out which one equals 0. Is everybody aware of that? Okay. So if you don't practice it now, you're probably not going to do well on the test. Just saying. Any questions about this? Anybody still having calculator trouble? You still have it? Yes. Just make sure this is always. There we go. Alright, from here, what we're going to do is use synthetic substitution, put a -1/2 on the outside, just like we've been doing. What are the coefficients that I'm going to put up here? Okay. I didn't hear the 8 part. I was like, Because there's 3 zeros, we only have one of them. So this is on your graph. This is the only place that crossed the x-axis, right? But there's really 3 answers. We just found one of them. So what goes right here, and here, and here?
-5, -3, 0.
Very good. All right, go ahead and write this as a polynomial. This will be what? Good? Good. What do all of these have in common? 2. So if I take a 2 out of everything, I'll have what? Plus 5x plus. Good? Alright, now if I were going to factor this, I would have to multiply what? And that would make, are there factors of 12 that can add to be 5?
No.
Okay, so here's our 2 options. Because this is a quadratic, we could use quadratic formula, or we could graph this in our graphing calculator and see if it hits the x-axis. Alright, so tell me what happens. Tell me where it hits the x-axis. Good, so the solutions are what? And we have to use quadratic formula. Alright, let's do that under this one. Maybe we won't do number 7. Alright, so I don't think I have to sing it. Tell me how to set it up.
I think you might have said it.
Plus or minus square root of minus 4 times all over. Very good. Find the discriminant first. So find out what 25 minus 4 times 4 times 3 is. And then you can just say it out loud. So our answer is -5 plus or minus square root of all over. Those are our other 2 solutions. So there's 1, 2, 3 solutions. What now? Any other questions on that one? Alright, I want you to try 4 on your own. Now, why am I skipping number 2? Because people without a calculator, you're going to die. Okay, just number 4. Try that one on your own. Oh, the bell's about to ring. I want you to